Member Brown Burke, enjoying myself too. So members, you're required to keep your seat. When you stand, the first person to catch the speaker's eye is the person who would be acknowledged. And then you turn on your mic. Once you do that, you will actually have no challenges. For those who are watching us in television land, our parliament seems very disruptive and disorderly because they do not appreciate what is happening with you over there in respect of how you handle the mic. And so members, if you follow the rules of the parliament, you have no challenges at all. Respectfully, if you follow the rules. And so members who complain that they don't want to be having to raise their hands, it is the reason why we reverted to the exact wording of the standing order, which is that you stand. And so myself and Deputy Speaker will actually be abiding by exactly that. Yeah, so I'm having fun with the member who is waving. Thank you, Deputy Speaker. So the member from St. James South, you're acknowledged. Please turn your mic on. Thank you very much, member.
But his mic is on. All right. Thank you, Madam Speaker. He's standing. He's that short. I'm sure he is standing. Minister. Okay. Minister, are you aware that the clinic at Roehampton is flat? The one at Catadupa, Maroontown, Garlands, Welcome Hall, Cambridge, those are perhaps 40 to 50% destroyed. I heard you speak earlier about bringing some tarpaulin to some of those. I don't think tarpaulin can help with the damage that they've sustained. I don't know if you've received the reports yet, but we urgently need a field clinic in at least 2 parts of the constituency. Given the wide geographic spread of South St. James, it takes up half of St. James. You may need to put one on the Maroontown, Garlands, Niagara side and another over by Cambridge. I heard you report earlier that you sent a mobile clinic into Cambridge and Maroontown. It's the first news to me. In fact, I had Mama's Mission and Dr. Dawes on Sunday operating a mobile clinic in Maroontown, and they saw over 100 people. So I'm surprised to hear that that mobile clinic was there a day or 2 before and so many people hadn't seen it. So I'm asking, Minister, if when the decisions are taken about sending in relief, whether it is medical or food or whatever, if the political representatives, the people's representatives, can be so informed so they can further inform the people. And more importantly, I've been trying to get my mother's medication, she's hypertensive, in Montego Bay, and most of the pharmacies, as you know, are still closed because they have no water, they have no electricity. I've become a drug distributor, yes. A drug distributor. Every week,
I think you are all fully aware, you know. I think you're all fully aware.
Yes. Obviously, it's legal drugs. I am the queen of the South. But Minister, every week that I come into Kingston, I'm taking back bag loads of prescription for the constituents. So I'm asking Minister, if you can help us through the NHF to get a mobile pharmacy going around the constituency to relieve me of the burden. Thank you.
Madam Speaker, if I may, the questions are piling up and I may actually miss a few of them. I'll try to be as efficient as possible. So in terms of the first question from the member from Eastern Westmoreland, I have to respond on behalf of my colleagues that when you see me, you see my colleagues and the Prime Minister. So we work together as a team. Well, let me just say that. But secondly, I appreciate the compliments and so on, but just want to make that point. Secondly, though, in terms of the volunteers, remember, in terms of the volunteers, there is a mechanism, it's an important point, there's a mechanism to vet all the volunteers that are in the field representing health service delivery. We have a registration, having looked and validated documentation, and that goes to the nursing council or the medical council as the case may be, and then those persons are given the approval to operate, to act in the field. These are persons, of course, coming in from outside. I mean, you have private physicians that would be registered anyway. So no one should be giving health services, prescription, giving medical advice unless they are certified so to do. And there is a temporary approval process that we go through. If you see that happening or sense that is happening, then please send us the information on that. And there are many that we have certified. So that's the process that we go through. In terms of NCDs, non-communicable and communicable diseases, that's what the pharmacy, mobile pharmacies is there for, to address concerns around the chronic cases, people with hypertension, diabetes, and so on. Now, this 3-month period is intended to regularize and get back the pharmacies that are closed down in operation. So it's just a short-term measure to address that. So for the member in South St. James, I take the point. I don't know why you didn't see them. This is what was reported to me. The NHF leads on that. But I do agree with you that you, as the political representative, should be informed and you should help that process. So I will certainly report back to them to ensure that when they're in your area. Now, I do know about... Sorry? No, she said that she didn't see the NHF mobile units. In terms of the health centers that are not functional, yes, we have the report. I showed you a diagram where we mapped all the health centers. Where there is going to have to be a long-term solution, we will put a temporary solution. That may be in any building in the area that is standing, or it could be a tent-type structure. So if you haven't seen one yet, what I'll recommend is that the parish health officer have a discussion with you and just outline what the plans are for your area. And more than likely, I will also find some time to visit your area at some point, because South St. James, Northeast St. Elizabeth, Northwest St. Elizabeth, Eastern Westmoreland, Southwest St. Elizabeth are, to my mind, based on what I've seen, certainly from a health perspective, the disaster zone. Those are the areas where the storm had the greatest impact. So I think it's important that we ensure that the citizens are served in that area. In terms of the communicable diseases, which includes the dead carcasses and so on, member from Eastern Westmoreland. Remember, we work with a team, so we have the public health officers who do the visitation, and they are instructed not just to look at food, but to look at dead animals and whatever else that may, solid waste, anything that would be a health concern. We work with the National Solid Waste Agency, NSWMA. We work with the local government ministry. We work with the other agencies of the state. So where we do our jobs and we observe, we pass on that information. And there is a protocol around how to treat with dead carcasses. In terms of university mobilization and other volunteers, there is a website, Minister Grange, remind me of the name of the website. supportjamaica.gov.jm, and you can volunteer on that site. Once you register, we assess and we distribute the names based on where people and how people want to volunteer. And then we in health also have a site. So we welcome anybody. What is important is that we streamline and coordinate, because we run the risk of creating chaos by just allowing a free-for-all and all who may should come. And it doesn't work. So there has to be a central hub, which is what we do. We have university students who have volunteered, by the way, and we're going to make use of them by bringing them to support the psychosocial element of the response. I think the issue of the communities with the vector, there's an assessment at the level of the parish where we determine the maroon communities and how we access those. Interestingly, we have airlifted at least 6 or 7 patients from the ground zero zone in Westmoreland, in St. Elizabeth, to Manchester or to University Hospital, and have saved lives in the process during the immediate aftermath. And also the JDF primarily has rescued persons who have been marooned in, bringing them down to the flats to institutions. So that is happening now. And if you have a case where that is needed, we can respond, because the JDF does have the capacity to do, and have been doing that. I think that's it. I hope I remember everything. Yeah, I think that's it for now. Your area. Yeah, so all the areas that have been impacted and have been marooned in or blocked off, we do one of two things. We can airlift to access. In fact, Samaritan's Purse has 2 airlift capacity vehicles, 2 helicopters. One, a smaller one, that is used to go into the areas, because the tier 1 health centers are 2 types. There is a fixed and there's a mobile. Part of the mobility is to go into communities and even in areas where you can't reach by road. So if you have a community as a representative that has that problem, and the team have not yet identified with the problem, you can just reach out and we will find a way to get there. The same approach in terms of the vector. You're going to see a lot more happening, because we have given instruction to hire both the temporary workers combined with the permanent workers, and also provide for overtime so that they work longer hours.
Minister, I would appreciate if we do not continue this practice of having members ask questions that they're not asking on the mic. It was the practice last week and it's continuing this week. It should not happen. It should not happen. It should not happen. And the reason is, very often the person who you break each time, when they're answering the question, the rest of us have no idea what it is that they're speaking to. You don't need to stand. The Prime Minister did so last week, and it is continuing this week. It's a bad practice for the ministers to be responding to questions from the floor when the rest of us have no idea sometimes what that is about. And for the persons, when the speaker is communicating, one would expect respectfully that you would listen. It would actually help in how you function afterwards. I hope you don't want me to sanction you. Minister, please have members ask their questions, take the notation. And there are times when the opposition leader would ask a question and the leeway is granted. But what is happening is every member has started to just ask whatever they feel like from the floor. It cannot work. Does the member from Clarendon? Member from Clarendon North, please take your seat. So the member who was asking a while ago is the member who stood from Clarendon North. What you could do is take a look at the standing orders. There is a process for follow-up questions in respect of the questions you asked before, and there's also a process for clarification. So when you are doing, when you're so next question, please. Turn your mic on. Turn your mic on. Angelo, that's not funny. So you can encourage everybody to stand if you would so like to. Are you asking a question or you're instructing the other member to stand? Okay. So the standing orders, member Brownberg says that the first person to catch the speaker's eye who stands. That's what the standing order says. So since you are the only person standing, I suspect, since you are the only person standing, I would hope that knowing you have caught the speaker's eye and encouraging other members to stand as well. Member from St. Andrew Southwestern, ask your question.
Thank you very much, Madam Speaker. No, I tell you, Madam Speaker, I have two questions to ask. One has to do with asking the Minister for a more fulsome plan of action as it relates to primary care support. You mentioned a little bit of it, but I don't think we have an idea as to how it's going to be rolled out. And I think it's important to understand the full plan. So that's one. Secondly, I wanted to ask Minister whether or not there is an emergency number for Jamaicans who find themselves in need personally of psychosocial support, or a family member who needs it, that they can call and they can get some kind of response. And how would they find out? And then my final question has to deal with the group of individuals that you said were going to be in the community. And the question I wanted to ask is whether or not, when they go in the community, they would also be used or be able to identify individuals who are in need of social protection, persons with disabilities, the elderly, that they could also refer to different agencies for action.
Thank you, member from St. Andrew Southwest. Next question. The first person is the member from Westmoreland Western, and then after that, the member from St. Andrew Western.
Is the minister aware that the people of Westmoreland endorsed the next field hospital coming to the parish of Westmoreland? Is the minister aware? That's number one.